Bear here with If That's the Case, and we are going to just jump right into a review of the Thermaltake Versa H15. So without further ado, to the case. So first thing is the Thermaltake Versa H15 case here is a micro ATX case. It does sport this really nice, I do like it, this sort of like honeycomb hexagons inside the front, and I really like that look. As well, it has, of course, the sporting of the Thermaltake logo. You can't have a Thermaltake case without sporting the Thermaltake logo, ever. Okay, so there's a few things that Thermaltake is pushing as far as this case goes, and that this is supposed to be a gamer's case as well as a portable case, and I do have a whole system in here, and it is very easy to pick up and take off with, so that is true, I believe. And then they also want to state how it is very good with ventilation, and we'll touch on that here in a second. So continuing on the outside, there is on the very top a single USB 3.0, a single USB 2.0, and of course you're always there for the most part, microphone and headphone jack on the top. As you can tell that this does support two 120mm fans on the top. And as well on the back it supports a single 120mm on the back, and the rest of it is pretty obvious. It's your I/O shield, it's your space for your PCIEs, and then you got yourself your power supply, and of course a nice, I really like this, it's just a square on the side. That's all this is. Continuing now inside of the case, I have already gone ahead and made a mess in here. And the nice thing is this is about as messy as this really gets. So I believe that with this case, if you really wanted to, you could put a single 120mm water cooler block on the back here, such as a Corsair AIO, and it fits nicely. It comes with a single optical drive bay area, and the nice thing is they are also saying that this is a toolless installation. So the optical drive is supposed to be a toolless installation. You can pop out the front and then you push in your optical drive. I sadly do not have one to spare right now. And then you simply twist the knob and it is locked into place. Now on the front here there is support for two 120mm fans, which is nice if you are going to put in a 240mm radiator in the front. There's enough room for this, but again, it's not going to be a custom loop. This is probably just going to be for your standard AIOs. So the only thing that I'm not the biggest fan of is if you do decide that you're going to put a 240mm radiator on the front, or even a 120 really, what you're doing is you're cutting off some of your 2.5-inch or solid-state drive mount points. And there are two of them right here by the radiator. For the PSU, you are going to be able to put in a standard PSU in here. So the cable management on this was actually a lot better than I had thought. I only had one issue, and that issue being that my power cable for the CPU is actually pulling it a little close here. So what I had to do, and I don't like this, is it's just sitting right on top of the little knob here for my AIO. However, everything does look pretty clean in here, I do have to say. So, speaking of cable management, actually give me a second so I can take these thumb screws off, which by the way, thank you very much Thermaltake for putting thumb screws on both sides of the case, because I find that that really does help with your toolless installation. So I do have a bit of a mess back here. As I said, my cables weren't quite long enough to go as far as I had wanted from my power supply unit. And now I don't know if that's just from my particular power supply unit. However, if I had cable extensions to make everything pretty on the other side, that would definitely mean I would be using more of this space right in here. And if you can't tell, this actually indents a bit, and there's lots of room here. There's a good chunk of room in there for cable management. Continuing though with showing the toolless installation, I will be removing this drive So I recommend that you go ahead and you throw in your drives before you do your power cable management. That would really help a bunch. So it is completely toolless. This is what comes with the case. You simply put it on your 3.5-inch drives, your hard disk drives, and then you slide it in. And then it clicks, and it's in. The thing that I think really helps with the cable management is having your cables being able to access the back in great locations, and I think that they allow for just about everywhere you can to allow the cables to come through for management. My only problem with this though is if I did have the window version, and there is a window variant of this case, you would be able to see all of my management mess even after the case has been closed and all the cables were managed. So they did a great job with putting tons of cable management assistance in here, or not assistance, features. They did a great job with putting tons of cable management features in here. Alright, just for my entertainment, and maybe yours as well, I am going to move my front cooler, and I'm going to actually put it on the top. One thing about this case though, which I found a little interesting, is that it actually only came with one exhaust fan. And while that's not a bad thing, I would like to see, for a case that is $35 and with no window, I would like to see for there to be a second fan to help with air flow. Yeah. Okay, so one of the things I forgot to mention was that this case comes just a little shy of $35. I think it's actually worth its money. There is one thing though that I wish that Thermaltake would have done with this particular case. Since there is a window and non-windowed variant, I would like to see that since this case is still at the $35 mark, for there to have been a second fan to help with airflow. Okay, so I did go ahead and I did get the cooler up on top. There does seem as though there is indeed enough space in order to have a radiator on the top with your RAM and CPU cooler. So this does fit. I'm not sure whether or not you could actually have two of these as exhausts in case you did get yourself a hybrid sort of GPU. What you would probably have to do then is have like the GPU radiator on the back and probably the motherboard's radiator on the front. Okay, so one quick thing that I forgot to mention is that there's a filter for your PSU. I had no idea that that was here until just now. That just shows you how much research I do on these cases. So with the Thermaltake Versa H15 here, just shy of $35, I do think you get your money's worth out of this. 2 hard drive bays, you get 2 solid state drive mounting areas. There's options inside of this case in that you can have, where you can decide whether or not you want your cooler on the top or the front or the back. I really do like how they did make this case very toolless. There was really no need for me to break out any tools except for when I was installing my own fan. That was the only time I really had to bring out my own tool. There is a good amount of cable management in the back, especially right behind where all the drives are. That's really nice. And it is portable. So I think Thermaltake did a very good job at hitting all the points that they were actually advertising this case to be. It is a portable, the material is not flimsy, but it's not as sturdy as I would want for it to be if they're advertising it as portable. However, it's still very light enough that you can pick it up and go. So in the comments below, if you have one of these cases, tell me your thoughts. Tell me what pros and cons that you found with this case, working with this case, and building in this case. Also, as well, if you liked this video, go ahead and leave a like. Check out any of the other videos in which I have already been done on this channel, and I will see you in the next one.